Today, everybody was panicking, so we thought the stream had gone offline. But it's not! This is ChillPoint! We're a little sensitive on this show.
Easily startled.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, everything is fine. Panic, panic.
The stream went down twice last
Don't
week.
smash the picnic button when nothing has gone wrong, I guess, is the answer. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's one of those cry wolf kind of things. Anyway. Hey everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint, a show where we talk about video game news and normally where we would talk about the episode of ChillPoint that went up this week, but there was no ChillPoint this week.
Nope.
Because we were busy preparing for the pre-release.
Instead, they got a community post telling them there was no checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And a fun fact.
Ooh, what was the fun fact?
Fingernails grow twice as fast as toenails.
That makes sense.
I don't know if this is true. I just
bite my
Googled a fun
fingernails.
fact because I was like, oh shoot, I didn't put that out yet.
I think you're right, because I think I chew my fingernails way more than I chew my toenails.
Probably.
I mean, that's just like, it's just hard to get at your
I mean,
toenails,
for you it is.
I guess.
Yeah.
Also that's relevant for gaming because if your fingernails are too long, it can be difficult to use a controller.
But if your toenails are too long, it doesn't matter. Not even if you're playing 24 hours of Le Mans.
I mean, it only matters if you're a runner.
That's fair, yeah.
Anyway,
Unless you're wearing open toes while you're running, I guess. But I don't know why you do that to yourself. That seems uncomfortable. You do you. If you find that more comfortable, good job.
hey everybody. Let's talk about video game news. Now, maybe we should just get this out of the way beforehand. There was the Summer Games Fest. It happened yesterday, which I love. I went to the Summer Games Fest website, and it was like, Summer Games Fest, broadcasting June 6, 2023. Mark it on your... There was like a button to mark it on
Yeah.
your calendar
Okay.
still. So they need to update their
So
web...
I want to point out it's Summer Game Fest.
Oh,
It's not games. If you go to Summer Games Fest, you get a picture of some weird tacos with Cheerios inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
so there is only one game
Yeah.
that is being shown at the Summer Game Fest.
Yes.
Which is good, because I hated saying Summer Games Fest. I didn't like that at all. I thought it should be Summer Game Fest. And it turns out that's what it's always been. So I don't know how that happened, but it fine.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
This is the first year, actually, we didn't get, I don't think we got, I always get an email, that's bullshit. I get 5 emails that are always like, hey, maybe they're in the spam is what happened. But it's like, I always get a series of emails being like, you should register to stream this thing. Pre-register with us to stream this thing.
mean-
That whole kind of thing.
Oh,
right?
to co-stream it?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see all the people who did go through the contact form to sing up for
Oh yeah, sing up to
do it
co-stream.
for co-streaming, because that's what the website said when I
Oh.
went to go check it out.
Didn't say sign.
And as far as I think that means that every person who co-streamed it had to sing either during the stream or as part of their application.
I mean, they say apparently Serge did co-stream it, so
I'll have to ask Serge.
hopefully he did it in a musical fashion.
Has anyone ever done a trailer, or sorry, not a trailer? Well, I guess a trailer.
Yes, people have done trailers.
But a trailer that is actually just a series of trailers of a bunch of different games, but that when you mash them all together, they all look like they're the exact same game.
I've felt that way
I
about
mean-
some of the montage trailers I've seen.
I've
Yeah.
definitely seen it's when that always happens at
The PC gaming show.
or just at either PC or console gaming show, when it's not a specific company.
Yes.
It'll be the console in general, and so they'll often start with the trailer, and you'll be like, "Oh, this game looks really interesting." First-person shooter. Okay, cool. Oh, it's also got space combat in it. Oh, interesting, and also platforming. And also it's got kind of a cartoony style and also hyper real. This is a very complex game that they're
'Cause
advertising.
They didn't
here.
come right out and say we're going to put, because when Nintendo does the direct when they're kind of like, oh, and also here's 10 more games that are coming out for the platform in the next 3 months, they'll do a montage as well, but they always put the name of the thing on the screen.
But yeah, often they'll just do like a sort of an attract sort of
attract mode is actually
stinger
a good way to think of it. Yeah.
kind of, or not stinger, but just like a pre-show thing to kind of get you hyped up.
I'm just was wondering, is like, has anyone actually gone to the effort of being like, oh, there's these 8 games that are coming out or have just come out that all have a similar feel and all have a similar like control style, and what if I can just edit the trailers together with like some blocks of stuff between them and make it feel like it's all the same game?
I mean, I feel like in the game show they probably deliberately want to not do that, to space them out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, for the game show, I mean, there wasn't. I feel like the main takeaways seem to be in terms of like exciting new stuff, because there was some stuff that was like had already been announced and they just sort of reiterated it or gave the release date for it.
It's not always like a terrible thing. That can be a nice boost of something in there.
But they announced the Prince of Persia, which is interesting because we did the story about the Prince of Persia remake getting massively delayed. But apparently they're working on a different Prince of Persia game.
Take the Crown. It's something about a crown.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've forgotten the subtitle of it, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a new game. It looks kind of like it's got like a 2D platformy look.
So it's not Sands of Time.
It's not
style.
Sands of Time.
Okay.
No.
Because we did that whole thing where we reported on that,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and if
So
now they're
this is-
announcing it again, it's like, what the
Yeah. So
Metroid Dreadish.
presumably
Yeah,
that's
a pretty good way to.
Okay.
to
presumably
say
this
it.
is a different. This is a
Prince of
different
Persia.
game.
Neat.
That's a different Prince of Persia game.
Hmm.
And then there was also the new Final Fantasy.
There were 2 Final Fantasy announcements. There was a mobile game announcement earlier in the show, and then they did cap up with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah.
And the mobile game I actually thought was kind of funny because they started it with Seth Roth trying to call somebody on his cell phone. And I just find that kind of amusing, even though I'm pretty sure they just have cell phones in that world or something. I can't tell.
I think they do. Yeah.
They might really. And they got motorcycles and stuff. It looks like they could have cell phones.
For some reason, I'm imagining Sephiroth with like an old school, like big chunky phone, and then he pulls out the antenna, and it's like the
that would've been
Masamune
good.
sword. Like he pulls out the antenna, and it's like 10 feet long.
That is not what they did, Paul, and I wish they had. Oh, that would have been great. No, it was very much your basic smartphone looking, almost iPhone looking esque thing now.
He gets such good reception.
I'd love it if he had like one of those old like phones that you flip up to get a keyboard on sideways.
Oh yeah, the sideways
like,
keyboard.
Oh yeah, I want him to have the oldest phone I can think of.
But yeah, my favorite thing, I didn't, I haven't looked at a ton of stuff from the Summer Game Fest, but my favorite thing about is all the little articles I've seen about announcements talking about Final Fantasy Rebirth have been like trying to describe what it is, because they're like, it's the next Final Fantasy game. It's not really, it's not like the reboot or the remake of Final Fantasy VII, and it's sort of a sequel to Final Fantasy remake, but only kind of, and there are people trying to describe what Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is, which is kind of funny. Yeah, people seem to be a little confused, which I think is working as intended.
I guess. I mean, I don't care about Final Fantasy VII at all, and when I saw this come up, I had that like, okay, so I guess they're making. Wait, are they just remaking the game again? Did they just give up on the first time when they said they were going to remake it and then say, okay, now we're remaking the game again. We just went back to the drawing board and started over, and we're just going to keep doing that. We're going to keep remaking Disc 1 of Final Fantasy VII until we get it the way we want it. And
like,
then
that's the good part of Final Fantasy.
then we'll do Final Fantasy 2 and, that kind of thing.
Okay. I
couldn't understand if that was the
know a lot
point.
about Final Fantasy VII. I put that out there, but my understanding is they're doing Final Fantasy VII, the game, remade again into 3 parts. This is the second part.
Yeah.
It is going to be different because they want to do some different story beat things or something like that. So it is still very much a new game. You could consider it a sequel to the first part to remake.
But where it fits into Final Fantasy VII is that it's Disc 2 of Final Fantasy VII for PlayStation. That's kind of
Basically,
the idea.
yeah. I would say
Yeah.
you could simplify it to that degree, even though there's probably some stuff that there's more context to it than that.
Right.
It's probably, and it's also like, I feel like it might be one of those things where, like, as this Final Fantasy remake series goes on, it might like diverge more and more from the original
plot.
Final Fantasy. They're going off and doing other things.
Because as far as I understand, the first one remake happens within Midgard, and what I've seen of this trailer, they kept pointing out that it's been like 5 years, and I guess they start off with like Midgard having like a big explosion, which I think is part of the end of the first game, and people being put into ambulances and stuff. But there's definitely like a 5-year time skip of some kind.
Right. And I can kind of understand that because it's like we've had time to really think about this story and we gave the new story writer the original story and said, here, now flesh it out, like make more shit happen. And they're like, yeah, okay, I gotta get my fanfic on and just start writing a whole bunch of more content and being like, right, now we can tell, now we can tell the game we originally meant to tell, like the story we meant to tell you in the original game. It's like, now we can tell an even more expanded story in this universe because everyone loves it so much.
Is it a new story? I was under the impression it was the same person who did Final Fantasy VII.
I'm just making the assumption that it's like whoever's been developing the writing for this, like the team just kind of went fuck nuts and was like, let's just put more shit in the game, right? So,
and I mean, the other thing is that, back in the day of PlayStation and multi-disc games, especially RPGs in this context, is kind of, multi-disc RPGs are kind of weird in that it's open world effectively, before people really called games like that. But you wander around the overworld and stuff, and they didn't want you to have to switch discs continually. So a lot of content is on all 3, like it's originally 3 discs, and a lot of content is repeated in all 3 discs.
Yes.
The only content that is unique on the 3 discs is the stuff that you can't go back to Midgard because of the aforementioned explosion.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a definitely
So
good way
all
to
the
make you not
plot
be able to
stuff
go
that
back.
happened in Midgard is on disc 1.
Sure, yeah.
But you can still like go to post explosion Midgard on disc 2.
Yeah.
But it's just a smaller thing. So it's kind of an interesting and all the FMVs and stuff. But anyway, it's an interesting take on it. I mostly find it funny from a, looking at journalists' point of view that nobody explains it.
Multiple discs, because that was also the thing when the thing came up. I was like, "Ooh, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, 2 discs."
Oh, so Rebirth itself is 2 discs.
It's 2 discs,
right?
Which so I assume there's going to be a lot of memes about that because I've kind of seen a couple already.
Right. Of course, these days, when a game is multi-disc, that doesn't mean you're going to be flipping discs. That means it's just going to take a really long time to install in the hard drive on your
and probably
system.
Download if you're getting the.
And it's going to be like 150 gig download or something stupid.
But it does still have that feel of like 2 discs, right? Like,
especially funny that it's Final Fantasy VII Remake Disc 2, 2-disc set.
Yeah.
So
So I expect part 3 to
2.2.
have 3 discs. Yeah.
2.1, 2.2. Yeah.
Anyway.
There was another game, I don't remember the title of it, that I was one of the few games I was like, oh, that actually seems interesting. That is about a woman who every time she dies, her ghost, she comes back, but the ghost of like what went and attacked went off, and so you can go off in a different direction, and you're now attacking over here, but your ghost is still attacking.
Oh, weird.
And so every time, it looks just like every time you die, now you have multiple ghosts that get up and go.
And they like
fight,
follow.
and-
They like follow the path that you went.
Yeah, and that honestly seemed really interesting.
There we go. We went down again.
But now we are actually down.
Are we actually down? Who turned on the microwave? Ooh.
I reset the. I ran that. I installed that the like Windows update that was waiting to go.
Do you want to just move to the like swap data ports and just see if that helps?
And we're back already.
All right.
We're back? Cool. So
clearly it's something with this computer or
Now that
data
we've,
port.
Speaking of ghosts,
Is there is another?
we should have two hooked up in the room.
There's another jack in
I'm
it.
just gonna go have a quick move. You guys continue, and I'm just gonna go see
but yeah,
if both of them are live.
just this idea of this game where it's like, yeah, you know how like other games are like, oh, death's not the end because you'll just like come back and maybe learn some new things. But I like the idea of like you have essentially a ghost that goes off and then you go off, and because your ghost is distracting the dude that you were fighting that you died to, you can hit them from behind now.
I mean, and
Like, it just seems like an interesting idea.
there's been games like Braid and puzzle games that use that mechanic of like time travel, like doing the thing and then going back in time and working with yourself. So, but having it as sort of a real time in a different game like that is
Yeah.
that sounds like a neat idea.
It sounds like too that eventually you run into like whoever the villain is also has this ability. So
Ooh.
I'm not sure how that works, but I don't know. It just seemed
What was this one
interesting.
called?
I don't remember the name of it. It had a weird kind of name.
The Lost Crown is the Prince of Persia one.
No, it definitely wasn't that. I swear it was in the.
Did it go down again?
No, I don't think so.
No, we're just trying to figure out the name of this game.
Oh no,
Or I guess it did go down again.
It did go down again. Let's get on to other news then. Starting with Minecraft.
What would Minecraft do now?
Uh,
What fancy cool thing can you do in Minecraft? I'm assuming.
1.20,
Oh,
All
right.
the new update.
1.2.
No,
Except
no.
we're going to call it 20 because weird.
No, because 1.2 came out like a long, long time ago. It's not
Yeah, it's not decimal based in that way. It's
sim version.
It's just not how.
yeah,
It's not
Yeah.
how zeros work.
I know. But
I
it's
had
because they
this
won't.
I literally had this conversation with Serge the other day.
Yeah,
Yep.
they
And
need.
he agrees with me, but he's also.
The thing is, like, the way I feel is like I think you're not wrong. Is that it's like you do 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. It's like then you know that by the time you get to 1.9, it's like we either have to go to 2.0 or we have to think of a different way of numbering our system from now on. And it should be like 1.01, 1.02. It's like then you have 99 revisions you can get through.
Like if it makes you think of it as like 1-20.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
the point is not a decimal point.
No.
It's just a yeah.
yeah.
Oh, here we go. Lisfenga, the time shift warrior.
Ooh. That I can understand why you didn't remember that name.
Yeah. I
Lisfanga.
was just like, it's just a weird name that
Easy.
I can't
Good for
remember.
Googling though, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not unlike
I would
Persona
tell you,
5 Tactica.
oh God, the best announcements that have been clearly leaked and won't come out till like Sunday.
Let's talk about Minecraft.
So, Minecraft 1.20 is the Trails and Tales update. And you'll see, I believe the Minecraft folks on 9 o'clock will be playing this, will be starting this on Tuesday on 9 o'clock with they're going to be trying to mine all the things,
Yeah, they've
find all the
started-
objects.
this last week with doing a setup episode. So
Oh, okay.
they're calling it episode 0 because they were just starting, like, I'm guessing, like, I don't know, farms or something, so that they could work at getting all the things, because I know trying to get some of those things with drop rates can be
So they're adding
time.
the big thing that they're adding is the cherry blossom biome, which is a very pretty, very safe biome. It's a good place to put your
Sheep.
your base or whatever. You know,
Okay.
it's there's no scary bad things in the cherry blossom biome.
Really?
There's
Yep.
a cultural thing I want to talk about regards
Pigs-
to this, but let's keep going.
Pigs
Okay.
and bees and sheep spawn, but it's a peaceful biome.
That's cool. All right.
Also, if you cut down the trees, you can get like pale pink planks and stuff, which is kind of fun. The other part of this is
You say you get
the
cherry wood?
the trails and tails part is archaeology. What I like about this is so in the the desert biome, there will be ancient ruins and there'll be sand patches that can hide pottery shards and different things like that. What I love is in the game, you know, every type of block in the game has a name, you know, for different things. The sand that could be hiding a pottery shard is called suspicious sand.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's good.
So if you are walking through the desert and you see a block of suspicious sand,
Definitely go up to it and try to get some stuff out of it. It definitely won't eat you.
and then you can also find sniffer eggs.
Do the eggs have noses?
Probably not.
Dang.
Do the eggs birth sniffers?
A sniffer will sniff out rare. So a sniffer is a new creature that has been added to Minecraft. I believe it won there was like an online poll for
Oh.
which creatures to add.
Okay.
Righto.
I'm not entirely sure if what one looks like. I don't know if they've actually released.
An image?
Yeah, what does a sniffer actually look like? Oh no, they have. Wait, what? I'm an adult.
Robot. I'm an adult robot.
Kind of looks
See?
like a Lego turtle.
It looks like a semi truck.
There's a little sniffer. I mean, everything in Minecraft looks like a semi truck. It's
Yeah.
little squares.
I don't know. I think the only animal I've liked in Minecraft so far is the axolotl.
I'm getting turtle vibes off this.
It can only be hatched from sniffer egg. Although, to be fair though, everything in Minecraft can be hatched from an egg. Everything
Oh,
comes from
sure.
eggs.
Even villagers.
That's true of Pokemon.
In a slightly strange way. Everything comes from eggs. Sheep come from eggs. Cows come from eggs.
This is not that weird in a video game sense.
It's fair. Pokemon come from eggs.
Oh,
That's what I
and
said, yes.
Yeah,
All of
you're
them.
right. Mhm.
camels are also being added. We had llamas already, but now there's camels,
Do
and
the-
up to 2 people can ride on
Oh,
them,
cool.
which is fun.
Do they spit? Are they
Uh,
dangerous?
They would have to, I'm assuming, otherwise they wouldn't be camels, right? You wouldn't know if they were
You
camels.
wouldn't make
That's-
a camel in a
that's-
video game who doesn't spit.
That's the
now,
thing
would
that you tell all kids about camels. If
Chat
they
says they
remember.
do not. Llamas do though.
Strange. All right.
Can you stack the camels? That's a very good point.
Oh,
Brad
that's
Busher.
true.
Yeah. Can we stack camels?
Oh, if there's camels now, you know what this means. They need to, somebody needs to recreate Camel Cup.
Yeah.
Camel Up?
Camel up.
Camel Up.
Yeah. They need to have a racing series. I think
Yeah.
that would be a lot of.
Someone needs to recreate that.
I'm sure James will try to be like, we need to make a race course for these
James
camels.
is currently, or at least was in chat, our clearly most popular Minecraft streamer that we have.
Not Serge.
Surge is great. James is the face, though. So I feel like,
Yeah, for our streams especially.
I mean, if James was the face for Surge's streams, that would be kind of not so good.
that would be funnier.
The Sakura thing, I think, is very interesting because Mojang being like an American company, it's one. So in Tears of the Kingdom, if you come across a cherry tree,
Mojang is a Swedish company.
true, but it's now owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
They had to renounce their citizenship.
in
A
terms
good
of-
old
Acquisition.
American name, Mojang.
Yeah, exactly. So you let yourself get bought out. You're now Americans. So we're waiting for the same opportunity. So in Tears of the Kingdom, there's cherry trees around, and they are very peaceful places, and they're very beautiful. And I haven't actually tried to stand near one overnight to see whether or not the skeletons spawn or not. I have a feeling they maybe have a thing that they wouldn't spawn any skeletons. And in Breath of the Wild, there's a
Cherry tree skeletons.
cherry tree skeletons would be great. They'd
Pink
be
skeletons.
pale pink, yeah. But they just kind of sit and they chill and they like eat dango and like whatever. And I mean, that's what I'm kind of getting to is it's like there's this idea that a sakura grove is kind of the no matter what, it's like it's a place of peace and contentment, and it's kind of been like that, for the Japanese who happen to have these, that's a very popular sentiment. But that idea has kind of spread around the world. That's like the only thing that's like nefarious about a cherry tree is that you might have sealed a 900-year-old demon inside of it. That might be the only thing you've ever done to it. Otherwise, it's like whenever you see them in anime and stuff, it's usually like, oh, this is very peaceful, and it's very like, even when it's kind of like slightly ominous, because it's like there's a person standing there with a really big sword. It's like, yes, but we're supposed to see the dichotomy between the peace of the situation, but also like the dread of like, there's somebody there waiting to kill me.
I mean, it's like, flower gardens and things
Yeah.
are peaceful too. Like I think it's just a nice, pretty.
But they didn't opt
place.
for doing a flower garden. They opted to do cherry trees everywhere.
Well, I mean, what type of tree there are is a large part of what sort of defines a biome in Minecraft in a lot of ways.
Okay. That was something I was unaware of.
But anyway,
The desert is full of sand trees.
Look, we
well,
associate
yeah, well, there's cactuses and stuff.
cherry
yeah.
trees
That-
with nice things because they fully bloom in spring and in hopefully enough in that early spring where people's allergies haven't like gone haywire yet.
Yeah.
And,
the land of rebirth,
they're very pretty and they're very different than the rest of our trees, and we like to look at them, and then they scatter onto the sidewalk.
Yeah, they're
It's
very
like
ephemeral as well.
pretty snow.
I mean, I'm guessing in Minecraft though the cherry tree biome does not like the blossoms don't fall and they just go kind of like green.
Yeah, they probably don't.
They probably pink forever, I'm assuming.
I mean, when you smack one, presumably they
Then they would, yeah.
presumably they drop like regular trees drop leaves and stuff.
Yeah. I wonder if you tear down all the trees in the biome, if it actually renders it unsafe, if it's not peaceful anymore.
No, probably not.
Okay.
If you go murder all the cherry trees, does it become the Murder Valley? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, can you turn it into a desert biome through deforestation?
And erosion, yeah.
I think we're making a different game here.
Disney Lorcana. That's the that new Disney card game.
Right.
Yeah, is that out yet?
No. It is soon to be out,
Oh,
maybe.
thought you were going to say it's canceled. but
They haven't given it a date, right? So we can have this like be a reoccurring, it might come out one day forever kind of thing.
So the problem is they are currently being sued by Upper Deck.
No kidding.
The baseball card
which
company?
it's a shame. If this was a Checkpoint episode, the lower third kind of writes itself.
Oh, yeah.
They're being upper decked by Upper Deck. Yes, the baseball card company, because they are a card company, and apparently we're in the process of making a game called Rush of Ichor, or Ichor, Ikorr,
Okay.
which has also not been released. But
Okay.
the guy who was working with them on it, Ryan Miller, was working at Upper Deck to make this Rush of Ichor game, left before the game came out, left to go to Disney to work on
Sounds like a good idea.
Lorcana,
Make some good money.
and Upper Deck contends that Lorcana is basically identical to Rush of Ichor. So,
like
Okay.
mechanically simple.
Yeah.
Wow.
which is a tough, getting copyright on game mechanics
Yeah.
is a tough ask. Like, you got to be
Absolutely.
really tricky because, people do copyright stuff on, there's like Magic has like the copyright on the tap symbol, which is why everyone uses
Turn or twist
or people
rotate.
people do like exhaust
Yeah.
instead of tap.
Yeah, keywords and stuff. You can
Yeah, but the actual mechanics of a game are very difficult to copyright or to get somebody on infringement. But apparently, they also say that Miller had access to proprietary information that he then passed to or used in service of Disney. So who knows whether that's a thing. Complaint goes on to demand punitive damages, restitution, and injunctive relief. Enjoining Ravensburger from publicly releasing Lorcana. So
Right, because this isn't Upper Deck going directly after Disney. It's going after
Ravensburger, which is
primarily.
which is the company that sort of has the license, I guess.
Right,
for
because I was like,
Lorcana.
man, Upper Deck has to have some massive balls if they think that they're going to just step up to Disney's team of lawyers. But at the same time, it's like, oh, but you're not. You're stepping up to a smaller company. I could see this actually being a fight that gets played out in some way.
And sometimes these things, various, Nintendo's gotten hit on the like patents for the Wiimote and stuff.
Yeah.
That everyone. So these little I'm not saying Upper Deck is a little company, but anyway. So we'll see what happens. Whether I don't know. Who knows what happens with this? To me, a lot of this hinges on whether Rush of Icor ever actually like manifests as a game.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then it starts to look a little sketchy from my perspective. But
Yeah.
not from a legal perspective, but just from it's like we had this game partially in development and have never released it, but your game kind of looks like the one that we were thinking of releasing.
Well,
We were
I
trying
mean,
to release
they're-
or maybe that we did put on hold.
Their stand is going to be based on this person having worked for their company, now working at this other company. If they didn't have that, I think it would be a lot harder. But who knows?
So anyway, we'll see what happens with this. As folks in the comments are saying, Upper Deck is not blameless or is not
Squeaky clean company.
squeaky clean in terms of throwing their weight around from a copyright trademark perspective either.
I have a lot of lovely memories of Upper Deck because I collected hockey
Of
cards.
upper decking things.
Yeah, I collected hockey cards for many, many years, and those were the premier ones to get. So for me, it's like, in my mind, it's always been like, oh, I like this company. And now to hear things that it's like, I'm going to have to go read the Wikipedia article and find out, oh, that sucks that things are this way.
mean-
But
I want to be quite honest.
there are no friends under capitalism, you see.
Anytime there's ever a story with it's this company versus this company,
Yeah.
and you start to see people taking sides, it's generally the sides they're going to take. Like, especially, you'll get people who are going to be like, oh, well, we'll take Upper Deck's side because we know
Smaller
about
company,
a lot
yeah.
of the stuff that Disney does, and
Yeah.
we're unhappy with a lot of things, or we just really hate them
Yeah.
to begin with, and it gives us more of a reason for that. And we don't really know anything about this other one, so we'll just say they're in the right.
Yeah.
Chances are good most of the time both companies are skeevy in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe not, maybe one is in the right in this instance, but it might be skeevy in some other ways. They're both having a money fight.
Yeah.
That's always how this goes down.
Let's
Yeah.
not forget, it is,
It's just a money
You're
fight.
having a money fight.
So yeah, who knows what will actually come of that. I feel like there's a fair amount of buzz around the Lorcana game, so I wouldn't be surprised that there's some sort of big settlement thing. It seems unlikely that this will actually scupper
Yeah.
the Lorcana release completely.
Probably no. Well, I mean, if Disney's driven enough to be like, we want to see this kind of thing come out because we want to be a part of this market, and they are really trying to push to get it to happen, then I'm sure that they will take an interest it'd be weird to call them a third party in this because it is ultimately their licensed product.
It depends on whether or not they're the ones banking this, or if they're just getting paid to use their license for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
I think
Whether how much investment
I saw PM Avers in chat mention that this is kind of the shades of way back in the day when Wizards was the Coast was like threatening or suing or whatever. I don't know anything about this story, but saying that Wizards was kind of throwing their weight around because they had patents on collectible card games, right?
Yeah.
And there's that idea, like that's mentioned. It's like, well, you can't trademark or you can't copyright a game mechanic per se, but you can copyright or trademark terminology and stuff. He's like, you can't stop somebody from tapping a card, but you just can't call it tapping a card. That kind of idea. I'm like, but I'm sure back then there's that idea of that I've invented a brand new thing. I've come up with a brand new way of doing something, and so therefore I think I should be able to make money off of what I assume is my brand new thing that I've kind of thought of, as a like a whole, like a spherical cow, right? Like I've created this spherical cow, and it's so great, and it's like, but you can't copyright beef. That it's like, you've made a spherical cow, yes, but it's not. It's new, but it's not every part of the cow is something that you get to say is a new thing that belongs to you.
That feels like one of those lines of old timey wisdom. It's like, well, you know what they say, folks. You can invent a spherical cow, but you can't copyright beef.
Mm-hmm. I'd love it. It's, to me, it would be great if it's just like the system is supposed to work in the idea of you need to have these fights out in courts so that decisions can get made, so laws can get put on.
Yeah.
That's all great as a concept.
Yes.
However, we also know that large companies sometimes just have enough money to
make things go their
make
way.
Things so bad for the other group that it's not like you're having a fair fight. You're just draining them of all their resources so they cease to exist.
Yeah, I read a thing that Sony apparently was involved with that. I think when Bleem was when they were suing Bleem because they were suing them over and over and over again. It basically was like Bleem was like, we have to go out of business. Yeah, because we can't afford to keep things going because they just keep suing us over and over and over again, and we can't get any relief from the courts to say that clearly they're harassing you into stopping making a product, even if you might be right in making it. And that's like, yeah, that is the problem here. It's like if you come to market first with an idea and you start pushing that idea and even if you have the best of intentions to be like, I want to make money off of the spherical cow I've created, and people are like, oh, that's really cool, you've made that. Look, I've made the spherical pig. And they're like, but you can't make a spherical pig because I've already decided that I am the only one who can make spherical meat. Like that kind of idea. And yeah, you have to, because you don't, even as a creator, you don't know everything about the patent system and everything about how the legal system works. And it's like, you don't know if you even should be allowed to do every bit of that, but you feel like you should because you're like, I came up with it all on my own. And you're like, yeah, you also built a little bit on the top of some other things too.
This is also why I get kind of mad about the whole Epic versus Apple thing. Again, people typically just pick the company that they think they hate the most to side with, and I'm like, don't side with either of them. But I particularly disliked Epic trying this weird tactic of, hey, look at us, we're small,
we're scrappy,
everybody go and yell at them so that we win.
Yeah.
Like, I really hated that.
Actively, like, there's a difference between, people just sort of have their pre-existing allegiances, but one of the companies sort of actively courting people into, I mean, it's effectively like when somebody like on Twitter is like, hey, go yell at this person.
Yeah, they were essentially doing what, like, when we look down on streamers who are like, hey, I want you to go bully so-and-so because I don't like the thing they did.
Yeah.
That is what they were doing. They were winding up a PR hype machine to try and win the court of opinion in order to win a court battle.
And sometimes
instead of just actually having
the court of opinion to win the court of actually being a court.
I really dislike that.
And sometimes that has that effect of being like, well, even if we lose the battle, we've still won the war because we can turn the customer base or we can turn other people against them in that way. And I'm like, we're going a little beyond what's already happening in this Upper Deck v. Ravensburger kind of thing, but clearly there are going to be people who are willing to take sides on stuff, and it's like, boy, yeah, that is kind of dangerous. You're right. Kind of removing yourself from that.
All I really want people to do is to stop when you start feeling really attached to a company and like that you don't like that people are hating on them or you don't like whatever, to stop, pull back, and actually look at the situation that's going on.
Yeah.
Because you are not that company.
Yeah.
For one thing, especially if you don't work there.
Yeah, don't don't try to don't identify too closely with the company that your only relationship with them is that you buy stuff from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really that healthy of a relationship.
The reason why I wouldn't pick Ravensburger is because I'm not a fan of jigsaw puzzles. That's the only. That's why I wouldn't have gone to them first. I mean, like, I liked hockey cards. I never really liked jigsaw puzzles that much.
I assume they do other stuff that's not just jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah,
but
well, I'm
I don't
sure Upper
really-
Deck does other things too, but I have no idea what they make. So yeah,
I don't know, card
Beyond-
sleeves maybe.
maybe, whatever.
Here's one of these. Here's a story that is sort of one of these things that because of the schedule that ChillPoint works on and ChillPoint has sort of was a big story and then kind of became a non-story over the course of several
Are
days.
you gonna talk about Twitch now?
Well, let's not go too deep into it, but
Okay.
yeah. Twitch had this change in their guidelines. or
Ad
their,
guidelines.
Their ad. I guess they aren't guidelines. They're rules. Guidelines implies that they aren't.
You're right.
That you
they're
don't
not
need to follow
enforceable.
them. Yeah.
Rules for third-party advertising.
Yeah. And so they put forward this thing that had a bunch of stuff about not having burned in ad. You couldn't have burned in commercials. You couldn't have
I burned in audio.
but
commercials
audio
was also a
commercials.
thing.
You couldn't have overlays that cover more than 3% of your screen. All sorts of weird things. Which, by the way, I was just thinking Summer Game Fest would have totally violated.
Oh yeah, so would have like a bunch of the
And like a ton
like
of.
GDQ and whatnot. Although I think
Yeah.
charity is supposed to be exempt.
And you
God,
mean,
I hope so.
you know, some of the, I don't know, our ad breaks probably maybe would have violated some of it.
I
don't
have
know.
my thoughts about that too, but because terminology is what's important as well. Because they were like, well, you can, the one that I was like, I understand this one immediately is on the screen. They put like a picture of a can of soup like in this area, and they're like, this is fine because that's less than 3% of the size of your entire screen. So this is fine. But if your face is up here and the rest of this is an ad for can of soup that you do in the middle of your thing, it's like,
Hey,
that's-
everybody, check out this gamer soup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
enjoy gamer
So
soup, and it's like
people-
that's not fine.
People
I'm
were
like,
making
okay.
fun of that because it was bigger than the 3% that was supposed to be.
Yeah, and so we start talking about the idea of like, the thing for me is like, okay, when you say burned in, because I think of burned in subtitles, where it's like you can have soft subs that you can
Yeah.
turn on and off, but burned in are like they're burned into the video, you can't turn them off whatsoever.
Yeah.
So what they're meaning, I guess, by a burned in ad is one that is now part of your stream. It's not one that people can click an X for to get rid of or something along
Right.
the line.
Yeah. And like we do, like when we run an ad break on our streams,
Yeah.
we have like the slides that run. Those would be a burned in ad. They're an ad for us, so it's probably fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some
Because it's like if you
wording-
advertise yourself, it's not a problem.
Yeah, there was some wording that said that if you advertised yourself, it was fine, but the way it was worded, I felt like you could, like someone could come along and interpret that you still couldn't actually advertise your Patreon because you're still advertising
And
a
it-
third party.
Or if
thing.
we had when we
But-
put like
You know, I think ideally the intention was, if you're advertising stuff that you're doing for yourself, which case we would probably fall afoul in terms of like Card Kingdom or
PPR stuff. We do
potentially
we,
PPR stuff.
we
and-
advertise like
and-
the pre-release that Wizards is going to be running and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like it was hard to read in certain terms of like, I feel like there are things we would definitely have to change.
And we're down again.
Do 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 do. Heather's gonna cut some of this out.
Yeah, I guess we'll just continue on here, but
Yeah,
I don't
there was,
understand. OBS doesn't actually report any issues, but
There was like another major change that they did that was not advertising based. It was they moved. So there's like the whole simulcasting thing,
right.
and my understanding is they moved that from outside of the affiliate partner contracts right into their terms of service,
Right.
which is problematic for people who maybe gave up their status so that they could do simulcasting.
And they also made it so that you don't have the delay, the like 24-hour delay isn't there anymore, I think.
That was something that was being added to, I think, partner contracts.
that you could do it basically instantaneously. You could come off of doing
immediately after.
Right, you can't. So simulcasting to what you mean is simulcasting to Twitch and YouTube, or Twitch and something else at the same time.
At the exact same time, the same thing that you're doing.
Yeah, and they're like, that used to be a thing that was baked into certain contracts. Now you're saying it's just part of the TOS now. It's like you cannot simulcast, but you can the moment you go offline.
You can to like TikTok for some reason.
Yeah, they want to define basically their competitors separately from other things. Like anybody who like YouTube gaming, stuff like that, they consider to be different than TikTok and stuff.
Right.
It's sort of odd.
Yeah,
well, because TikTok maybe doesn't do like hour-long streams. Or
Yeah,
something, I guess.
They consider TikTok to be like this mobile thing. They word it in a way, but yeah, it's it as simulcasting was always basically a no-no if you were partnered or affiliate. But because they moved it into terms of service, basically means anybody who's streaming on Twitch is not supposed to be simulcasting unless you've been given permission, and they're going to put that in there because that's going to not affect if we were doing normal E3 presentations.
like Summer Game Fest, for
those
instance.
things, they probably all have permission. Larger companies who are doing whatever. And at that point, it's very much a Twitch needs those companies definitely to stay on their stuff. They will leave them.
So they did that. Obviously, people were understandably, shall we say, concerned.
There was a lot of talk.
And they expressed that concern in a very level-headed kind of way. And Twitch sort of quite quickly came back with being like, no.
We worded that too
There's
vaguely.
clearly been a misunderstanding. What we intended was to make it so that people who are they didn't want, apparently the thing that they were concerned about is big ad networks being used by streamers to kind of circumvent the built-in Twitch ad system.
Right, because if you can just be like, I'm just going to stream and I'm going to get better rates from using baked-in ads that I can do through a third-party ad network, and I'm like, I'll just keep streaming all the time, and I'll be up in the corner, and I'll be doing some stuff, and you'll see the ads running on 90% of my screen or whatever like that. It's like, that's like, Twitch would not like that.
It's more, I feel like the wording gives away more of the idea of, we would like Raid Shadow Legends to come to us and use our bounty board and talk to us and put in our banner ads and not go directly to a big streamer.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the issue is, one, of course, the way that the changes were worded did not make that distinction at all. So if that was the intention, it was very, very poorly put out.
Yeah.
The other part of that is that if that is the intention, they don't, like, the bounty board sucks.
Yes.
And they're various, like, the things that they are sort of ostensibly replacing the, somebody's ad system with aren't good. Like, they have a long way to go to actually compete on that level. And so that, obviously that's very frustrating as well.
I mean, I'd love to have some control over Twitch ads.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, I want to run some pre-roll ads and do whatever. I'm like, I'm fine with that. But
if I knew
have no control, I can't tell them, hey, I really don't want to be running political ads on my channel.
Even with YouTube, you can set certain things.
YouTube gives you more control, and that's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, we have no idea what ads run during our streams.
Yeah.
And we don't have any control over that.
Yeah. And if we had a choice, we would probably exercise a little bit of control to say we don't want to run X, we don't want to run Y. I mean, because that's really what it's about. It's not about saying, like, I only want to run ads by Nintendo, which is a thing I would do. If it was my thing, it's like, I only want to run Nintendo ads, and if nothing else comes up, I just want a guy on the screen just, like, staring back at, like, just counting down from 10 until the ad finishes. If that's my options, like, either Nintendo ad or that, and that's it. Like, I don't want any other ads, and I don't want you to pay me for the guy counting down from 10 either. I'm going to be a complete jerk about this. But it's like, no, what you do is you say, I don't want an ad from this shitty company. I don't want an ad from this shitty political party. I don't want an ad from this shitty billionaire who thinks I should be using his social media service. It's like, if I don't want those things, then I don't want those things. And that's all you want to do, is you want to get rid of that stuff out of your stream.
The interesting, and then so they said, oh, we're very sorry about this. That wasn't our intention. And then the next day, they walked it back even harder, saying that, okay, clearly, we didn't phrase this properly. We are going to discuss it with the Twitch community liaison people or whatever, and figure it out. Which is
Did
like,
you not do that already?
I would have hoped so.
Why are the? It's like, yeah, clearly some serious butt covering stuff. Also, that it's a combination of like, serious butt covering. The thing of the sort of putting something out that's really bad. Everyone gets in a big tizzy about it, and then going like, oh, okay, we won't do that, and then just sort of slowly rolling out that same stuff
Anyway, yeah.
but doing it in a way that doesn't draw as much attention now that people
It's a
are
possibility,
now that it's sort of or we'll do the really terrible thing, like no, we're not going to do the really terrible thing, we'll just do this other thing that's nowhere near as bad, but and in comparison to the terrible thing, it looks quite good.
So they've walked back the guidelines. They're not implementing those right now. They're gonna fix that. I believe the simulcast TOS thing is still happening.
Right.
And they already added this in earlier, so this is probably still there. The checkbox on the bottom of the thing that says this is sponsored content, which that I actually like.
That's fine.
That,
yeah.
I like having a thing that clearly marks a video that's like, yeah, no, everything we're doing here is sponsored, or we have sponsorships in here, because it's just notifying the audience of a thing.
Yeah, and that's fine. We sometimes are not good at turning it on and off at the correct times, but in theory, there's no problem with it being there.
I think for the majority of streamers, either they have like a sponsor that's on all the time, so it's just always going to remain checked, or they maybe it's one streamer, so we don't quite have the same. We have different needs and wants than other streamers do.
Yeah.
Just based on the way we do our shows and stuff.
If I ran Twitch, my hair would be shock white, for one thing, by this point.
I don't think you'd have any.
The stress would just drive me up the goddamn wall. But that must be why my hair is turning gray a lot faster. I've been having stress dreams like once a week. Or no, like I had one today too. It was awful. But anyway, if I ran Twitch, obviously I'd be in the position of, look, I know I need to maximize resource extraction here. Like we know that streamers are getting paid from outside advertising, which is not what we want. We want them to use our inside advertising. So we have two choices. We either make our inside advertising so much better that they're like, shit, I'd rather just work with Twitch.
Ugh, that sounds like a lot of work.
It sounds like a lot of work. Or we can just say, you can't do third-party advertising in these ways because because we don't want you to do that, because we want you to use our inside advertising thing. And so we're, carrot or stick approach, right? You do one thing or the other. And I saw somebody say in chat, it's like, well, if you would just pay streamers more money, then this would all go away. And I'm like, no, it wouldn't. And the reason for that is, if I'm getting I'm just going to say, it's a 50% cut, right? If I'm getting 50% of a sub, so you sub to the channel and I get 50% from that, and all of a sudden Twitch turns around and says, you know what, we're going to give you 90%. We're giving you 90% of that thing from now on, and we want you to not do any outside advertising, only do inside advertising from now on. The streamers would be like, that sounds amazing. And within like a month or two, they'd be like, well, also I know I can make more money because now a third-party company is coming to me and saying, we have devised a way around this. We'd be like, hell yeah, man, I'm going to put more ads on my thing. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to make more money. And I'm going to make more and more money. Because when you're a streamer, you kind of have to get your hustle on, because it's not the most secure job in the world.
Yeah, honestly, the majority of people, even people I know who I work with who stream and do quite well at it, aren't making enough money off of that alone.
Yeah.
So I feel like even if they were getting a 90% cut as opposed to whatever their actual cut is, you're still going to have to hustle.
Yeah. You're going to find other ways to do things.
If you want to have any hope.
Yeah. The bulk of what you do a lot of times with streaming is not just about I have a stream and you come watch the stream and that pays me and now I can pay my rent. The bulk of what you have to do is be like, yo, I also have merch. Buy my merch on the other shop. And also I am advertising this thing, but also come to my Patreon, but also do this other. I'm doing a collab with this other company so I can get things through that way. It's like there is that very lifestyle of
store.loadingreadyrun.com.
There's like all these other things that you do have to do to try to bring in money to help support your business of yourself, right?
It's a very you have to be sort of quite diversified in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when your income streams are tied to these companies that, Twitch might decide to completely, I have altered the deal. I do not alter it further.
Yeah.
You have to be a little bit flexible on these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really like streaming at home where I don't do any of the things that I'm supposedly do. I play a video game.
Yeah.
And sometimes I remember to tell people I have a Discord.
And I think
sometimes
I
mostly just don't. I don't tell them anything.
Fair. You have to find out by asking. It's like your stream is an ARG.
It's secret.
It's just a place that I like to be.
Yeah. I think that this kind of thing, I mean, we're eventually going to see a lot of this stuff roll out. You're absolutely right. Because it's like no matter what the community thinks, it's like you're on Twitch because that's where the biggest audience is, so you're on Twitch. Even if you have a lot of hue and cry about it, it's going to be like rolling out a new Facebook design. You just do it and everyone gets pissed off about it, and within a month everyone stops talking about it. I have a feeling that you're right. We're going to see a slow rollout of all of these changes to the rules. Companies will fall apart as a result of that. Companies will adapt as a result of that. They will find other ways to kind of make this stuff all work. Twitch isn't just straight up saying you can't do this. They're saying you can't do it in certain ways. So people are going to try to shuck and jive their way into being able to do it.
And I mean, the frustrating thing about a lot of the stuff that Twitch does is not only that they aren't giving you alternatives in the sense of like they will make it so you can't do a thing, but not actually provide a good alternative.
And they should.
But also they they tend to be quite often the quite sort of ambiguous, right? So you get this like with this thing, like the situation where it's like, well, would our the ad breaks that we run, that show like Patreon or whatever, would that be a problem? Would putting the thing up on screen saying Card Kingdom be a problem? That takes up more than 3% of the screen, not for very long, but it does.
Yeah.
Would all these different things that are questions that are very important to know when the consequence of doing it wrong could be like getting your your channel suspended or banned or whatever.
Yeah, it's like being told that you can't go to work anymore, right? It's like you can't make money now.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see how what shakes out over the next little while. We'll try to keep you up to date if there's any changes that need to be made from our perspective. But
I mean, it is one of those things that
right now
they will probably come back with again at some point, because I don't think they're gonna just not do a thing.
But I guess trying to figure out a way to do it better.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll just really have to see on that.
It should have come with you're right. It should have come with a thing being like, hey, we're making the ad board and we're making we're making all the advertising options way better, and here's how we're doing it because you've been asking for that. Here's how we're going to do it. However, it also means that we are going to be restricting some ad stuff on the third-party side, but that's why we developed this, is to give you those options to do it better. I hope that's what happens, right?
I mean, the thing that they're really pushing these days is the ad incentive program, which is sort of interesting, except in order to use the ad incentive program, you need to use the auto ad manager.
Yeah.
Which means that ads just kind of show up every hour.
I will not use that.
And we tried, we actually, sort of accident, like we tried the ad incentive thing, not realizing that those two pieces fit together mandatorily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there was a
Couple days.
there's maybe a week or something,
There
a
was-
couple months ago, where ads were just like randomly playing on our channel and we couldn't stop it.
Yeah, it was happening over the course of a couple of days because we thought we turned it off, and it turned out we turned off a different switch that did not turn it off. So then we had to find
Like
the right
know.
switch. Yeah.
the ad incentive program by itself doesn't seem like a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And if it
Yeah.
was, as long as you maintain
do-
3 minutes
do
per
like
hour of
that,
ads, it's fine. That would be great if we could manually do it.
I believe
Anyway.
now when you run 3 minutes of ads, it takes off pre-rolls for an hour now as opposed to like the 30 minutes they were doing before.
nice.
And
Which
that
is
I
fine.
appreciate. I will run 3 minutes of ads at the beginning of my stream just to run that off, but then I don't bother.
Sarah says in chat, having no control over ad timing is just a bad experience for the viewers and streamers, which I agree.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a viewer of Loading Ready Run streams, because from the beginning we've really tried to control that experience to be like, what is the best experience we can do that also allows us to run advertising. And this is what we settled on, is like, this is kind of the way that we can do that, so it
Yeah, we go to a
works for
proper
everybody.
commercial break, and then we run ads, and then
Yeah.
we come back when that's done.
And I imagine for maybe, I don't know, I'll just make an assumption, half viewers on Twitch, they're used to, I show up to watch a thing, and then partway through, it just runs ads, and I miss what happens for 3 minutes because the streamer has no idea that that's happened. And they just kind of become used to the idea of like, well, shit, if I want to watch so-and-so do a thing, I guess I have to deal with these ads every hour on the hour kind of idea.
There are streamers who just set that up to go every hour.
Yeah.
And either you subscribe so that you don't have to see ads, or maybe, I guess Twitch Turbo is probably still a thing, so you don't have to see ads.
Yeah.
Or you just deal with it, because there's this thing that happens as well when you're a streamer, where you start doing things you don't necessarily agree with, but you feel like you have to.
Yeah.
And that becomes the norm. And then you start getting things like, oh, well, commercials run every 10 minutes, but everybody's used to that, so I guess I'll just do it too.
Yeah, you watch TV, don't you?
You know.
It's like, I guess. Yeah.
The TV program doesn't keep going while the ads are
There's-
playing, though.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It'd be
Anyway.
a hell of a thing if you had to install. If you had to, I know we're talking a lot about Twitch, but if you had to install like a widget in OBS to use Twitch that was like a thing that came up and like, you're going to be taking an ad break in 10 seconds. You're like, I better save. Like, I guess I better sit here and wait until my
We're
mandatory
down.
ad break is
We're
over.
down again.
No.
I looked at the
There's
OBS.
supposed to be a thing with the ads manager where if you have it up in the window, it gives you a warning that so
Yeah.
you can delay the ads. I just don't think most people are able to.
Considering you hardly read chat sometimes, like
Yeah.
people hardly read chat sometimes.
It's
Yeah,
And we're back.
great.
Sorry about this, folks. But anyway,
Moving on.
moving on to leveling up with Coca-Cola.
What?
I'm kind of disappointed. We've taste tested, fancy Cokes
Yeah, it
on
was
here.
like a space and
A space
and
flavor
dreams, I
and
think.
dreams flavor.
Yeah.
So they're coming out with a new special collaboration with Riot Games. It comes in a black and gold can, and it's the level up flavor.
It tastes like Jinx.
I believe they say it tastes like gamers, which I mean,
That does not seem like a good
it's
thing.
not a thing I wanna.
Onions.
Sweat and tears? I don't think so.
Yeah, so here you can see the oops. Apparently the
Oh.
NDI is also stopped connecting, probably because the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, we can't show you.
we can't
photos
show you right
anymore.
now, but it's like a black and gold can.
It looks like a Coors can.
It kind of looks like what I would expect a coffee cola to look like.
Yeah, actually, good point.
Yeah, and then there's associated emotes with it. You can log into League of Legends and complete quests to get fancy things. It's part of it's Coke Zero Sugar, which I guess is good.
Okay, why do people keep partnering with Coke when they could clearly partner with Pepsi and do Pepsi Man things?
Yeah, it's true. I guess Coke's the one reaching out.
The BattleTech community. This is actually kind of cool.
Oh, good. It's not to do with the Coke thing still.
This
Great.
is not,
okay.
This is a different thing. There's
we
a
told you about
battle
Coke, now we're moving on.
BattleTech flavored Coke.
Great.
Tastes like gun oil. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. So there was a BattleTech anthology of stories. So the BattleTech Pride Anthology 2023: Queer Tales from the Inner Sphere.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Okay.
A fan-made zine with 5 short stories produced by queer authors. So featuring, it had a foreword, and one of the stories were by officially licensed BattleTech, or people who have previously made officially licensed BattleTech.
But this is a fanzine.
This is a fanzine.
So it's unlicensed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is
We call it Dojin.
So it was advertised, or it was starting to be discussed on the BattleTech, or like r/BattleTech subreddit.
Okay.
And the moderators of that subreddit kept pulling down the posts about it every time it was brought up, under the citing long-standing rules against politics.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So the interesting thing
It's
here.
not political.
So the users of the subreddit pushed back on that. So the moderators were the one taking the post down.
Wow.
The users of the subreddit pushed back on it, and then until DDevil63, who's the guy who actually started the subreddit, he's the head mod of the subreddit, but
He created it.
Yeah, he'd been absent.
Uh-huh.
He was a user of the subreddit, but he didn't do any mod. He wasn't interested in doing any modding.
Okay.
He basically came in, laid the hammer down, dismissed the entire mod team.
Whoa.
Nice.
So he came in, and then they got on a new mod team, and in fact, because of this, the community manager for BattleTech saw this. So the community manager for the company,
Yes.
Catalyst Game Labs, they were also seeing this, and so they were like, we actually, we're seeing this, and we're realizing that because the r/BattleTech wasn't an official thing,
Right.
and so they were seeing that we need an official place for people, so that we have some control over, this. We don't want this narrative of this thing that
BattleTech is anti-pride or something.
that the moderated thing. So they created another subreddit called BattleTech Official or something.
Oh, okay.
They because everybody, anybody can make a subreddit. So they started BattleTech Official, and people started migrating from the r/BattleTech over to r/BattleTech Official.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
This guy DDevil
15.
DDevil63
63, whatever.
started in communication with the BattleTech, with the community manager from Catalyst Game Labs.
Okay.
And they came to an agreement, and so they basically that the r/BattleTech would now become the official BattleTech thing.
Oh,
They sort of re-migrated people. They were saying like, okay, go back to the real one. We're gonna Catalyst Game Labs is going to officially endorse this subreddit, and they're going to put being concerned some moderators.
Yeah.
If there was like some error that could be.
Yeah, if there was
Looked at.
logging, that would just be like, you have lost connection to this thing, or the thing has dropped you.
I think I'm gonna have to manually do this one.
And it's not
What?
like the computer isn't showing like
A loss of...
excessive CPU usage or anything weird like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, basically, the the end result being the people, the original mods for the BattleTech subreddit
Have been dismissed.
were being dicks, and so yeah, in kind of a cool way, the BattleTech community, as well as the company itself that makes the game, kind of came together and said like, no, this is a cool project. We want to support this. And we also now want to
They're co-running it together.
co-run. Yeah,
I think that's an interesting idea because you're because it's like if D-Devil doesn't work for Catalyst and says, well, I want to maintain this as a space for people to have conversations about BattleTech. There's that push and pull of how corporate do I want these discussions to be? Because what if Catalysts, what if the community managers there, or what if something else about the company changes a certain way? They're like, well, this is the official subreddit, and we don't want people acting this way in the subreddit who are saying other things about other stuff. And it's like, well, the community feels that we do want to do that, and then you actually have some friction, right? Because they're both involved. But Catalyst clearly wants to have an official place where people can be like, you can come here and talk about BattleTech, and that's cool, and we are involved there. We show up and we see stuff and we write things and we're involved in moderation and all that kind of stuff. It's like, hopefully that the kind of the push and the pull of it will equalize to be like, fan created content will always be welcome at this place. We won't get a bug up our ass about somebody saying, hey guys, I made a fan version of BattleTech and now you can do this,
yeah. I mean, who knows? Sometimes there is a sort of a thing about companies sort of the sort of official. Sometimes people want a non-official thing so they can talk about stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see how this plays out. But for the moment, anyway, I think this seems like a positive thing. There's new moderation is in place that is endorsed by like people who were existing trusted moderators for that the company used for other things.
Yeah.
So
That's
anyway, that's cool. Good on the BattleTech community.
And if you don't like Reddit, you might try Lemmy. It is the new federated version that acts a lot like Reddit, but it's part
Isn't
of the Fediverse now.
Isn't that one of Bowser's kids?
Yes.
Lemmy?
Also the lead singer of Motorhead. But all not the same thing.
Diablo 4 just came out, and people seem to like it.
Yeah, I heard it's a buggy mess, and also it has no bugs at all. Boy, there's a
Perfect.
lot of arguing that I'm seeing.
I mean,
I've definitely seen some people have a hard time getting into the queue.
Yeah, but that's kind of to be expected.
if my experience with Diablo is any indication, I mean, there are bugs in the game that you have to fight.
Ah. Damn it.
And there are large bugs that are very scary, and you have to fight them, and then they drop loot for you. But yeah, so it is they are touting that it is the fastest selling launch that they've ever done,
Wow.
Sure, I can believe that.
which is one of those interesting stats that is like kind of, they kind of word it in a specific way.
Yeah?
Because if you're a company, you want, every launch to be the fastest, you want every launch to be the best launch ever.
Yeah. We sold the most games. We made the most money. We have the most active users.
And we're down.
We might just need to keep talking regardless of whether we're down
Yeah.
or not, and tell
Yep.
people
And so the
'cause-
recording will
that the
be fine?
recording will be
Yeah.
as-
That's cool.
It's just I don't know what else we can do because it goes up and down like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
So Diablo 4 is the how much? Wait, what's the?
Because you're saying it's their fastest launch, which I assume would mean that it sold copies incredibly quickly. That would be how I would think about it: is that you've sold the most copies of any game you've ever sold in a weekend or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how you think about fastest.
I think it's like weekend and the first week after a game launches is roughly like
what they consider
is what they consider launch.
Yeah. And so there's a Polygon article that, because they haven't actually said what the numbers are.
Right.
They've just said it's the fastest one ever.
Oh.
So there's a Polygon article that's talking about other Blizzard games that they've also said are the fastest selling things ever. Battle for Azeroth was the fastest selling World of Warcraft expansion ever in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch
Previously, the
had
fastest selling game?
7 million players in the first week after its launch.
That implies copies.
Diablo 3 sold 3.5 million copies, which is the setting a new all-time record for fastest selling PC game.
Okay.
So who knows? Obviously the market gets bigger. This is a multi-platform release, whereas the original one was PC only at the beginning.
Yeah.
So who knows the different things. I love this thing. Diablo 4, since it came out a week ago or whatever, Diablo 4 has been played for 93 million hours, or over 10,000 years.
After 10,000 years, I'm free.
God, I didn't think about it that way. You're right. Oh my God.
I mean, so
And they're touting that like that's one of those things where like they tout that as like look at an amazing thing, but it's also like look at the dip in world productivity we have caused.
yeah.
10,000 person hours or person years just gone in an instant.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have done something else, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't doing anything useful with those 10,000 years.
This would have done something different.
Sure would have loved to have seen how that happened with Animal Crossing in 2020.
Yeah, there's probably some scary numbers put up on that one.
yeah.
I mean, some of my friends have some scary numbers. I know one of them has like 3,000 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even know the counter could go that high.
I haven't even looked to see how many hours I put in Tears of the Kingdom yet, but I'm expecting. I've only played it for 30 hours. Is what I'm thinking in the back of my head, and I'm like, that's probably not right.
I think I'm around 80 now.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like you're probably going to be a little higher than me because my play sessions have been shorter than yours.
I've also spent a lot of time dicking around, so that's fun.
Oh, well, you
Yeah.
play the game however you want.
10,000 years of Diablo 4 has already been played,
Mm-hmm.
and it hasn't been out that long.
It's came out about at the time this article and that came out. It had only been out for about 100 hours.
I wonder if they're worried that they're like, if they say how many, because Nintendo did. They said 10 million copies sold worldwide. Like, they just said it about Zelda, and it's like, okay, so why wouldn't you want to admit a hard number? Do you think that when you see the number, you're like, it sold 2 million copies? People are like, that fucking sucks because it didn't sell 3.5 like Diablo 3 did, like that kind of idea. Maybe that's why you take that tactic.
They might be waiting for a specific amount of time to pass before they come up with a
That's fair.
number. I don't know.
When we say Diablo 4 has been played for 93 million hours, that's a little that's not quite correct. 92 million of that is one guy, but that should be considered an outlier.
Yeah, please do not pay attention to Diablo Georg. He's stuck in a time loop, you see, and that's how he's managed to do it.
Yeah. Unwording is a puzzle game that's coming out.
I was going to say it's not a real word as far as I understand it.
And it is literally unworded itself.
Is a puzzle game about overcoming negative self-talk.
Okay,
Wow!
cool. I thought this was going to be a Wordle clone.
No.
Oh, I like this.
So this is actually really interesting. It's a puzzle game. You sort of go from you start in like a 2D world and it becomes like a 3D world.
Okay.
And the developers talking about that they had moved to a new place in Mumbai. They were living alone for the first time, and noticing that was having sort of negative thoughts, and his mood was dipping, and then was creating sort of a self-defeating cycle that he was stuck in.
Sure.
And then and so he thought about this in terms of he's a game developer, and thought about this in terms of how to sort of make a game around that. And he's saying he's typically creates sort of narrative games. So making a puzzle game was, he's saying like designing the puzzles was sort of the most difficult part of it. So he's trying to sort of it's like a lot of the puzzles are sort of word puzzles, and so the first puzzle, so it's taking I'm trying to
read the paragraph.
Yeah. Saying when I went through lots of different iterations, decided it was important to reuse. So the puzzles start with like, he looks at his phone and it says like no messages, which then gets turned into like no one cares.
Okay.
And then he's saying the idea is I wanted to reuse those same words, but then add perspective to them in case literally breaking them into the third dimension. And so he's looking at take the defeating message, take these messages and interpreting them differently, which is the main method. So I
not really
in this description doesn't really give a good idea of what the puzzle is. But what I thought was really interesting about this is he was saying like he was building this whole thing, and it wasn't until like he was partially through the process when he learned that about cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which is what this is.
Right. Yeah.
taking your sort of internal monologue and
reframing it,
trying to reframe it, and sort of trying to sort of target it and really think about what you're thinking about.
Understanding when your behavior is affecting you in a way that you don't want it to affect you in, and that whole like rubber band snap thing where it's like when you detect it, you do a thing to break yourself out of it, to be like, okay, no, I'm doing a bad thing. Snap. Okay, let's try to reframe what I'm doing and see if I can't come at it at the way that actually benefits me. But no real description about how the mechanic works in terms of remixing these messages. It's not like a thing where it's like, oh, I'll remove a letter from here and I'll take a letter from here and I'll move those things around, or kind of like job where it's like drag the words around on the screen to make a thing. Or like break down a word into component like letters and then tear the letters apart and then make a new letter.
Oh, here we go. I was just looking at the trailer here.
Oh, that's very cute.
To be honest, yeah, like I don't know that much about the game. Like this particular article was just an interview with the developer. So I'm not entirely sure how it all manifests itself.
I think it's very cool.
It just caught my eye.
it looks like there's some dragging and stuff.
Yeah.
The puzzles might differ.
You're sort of rotating characters and stuff.
Yeah. And it is in a 3D world too. And the animation's all very different.
This looks actually really neat.
This would have taken a ton of work.
It looks like it's already out, at least for Steam.
Yeah.
$6.50 Canadian, so it's probably like $5 US.
It's like a $5 thing. So anyway, I imagine it's a fairly short game, but
that's fantastic.
It looks cute.
Yeah.
So anyway, looks super neat. I just like the idea of it. Hey, we know how old Bowser is.
Oh yeah, I heard he's like 34.
What?
They revealed his age. They had a whole
In
They-
there's a whole they released a video about just like how to create a Nintendo account,
Okay.
and because they've done it, Bowser and
Right.
Bowser Jr. have been in like other videos and stuff.
Yes,
And
they
in order
have.
to create a Nintendo account, you have to put in your age or
Right.
your date of birth, and so we know. We know that Bowser was born on the 5th of February, 1989.
Wait. Hey, Super Mario Brothers predates that, doesn't it?
I hate to tell both of you this. Bowser is a villain. He may have lied about his age.
Oh, I see. That's fair. Yeah, you're right.
I'm just saying, if you were in a video
twist.
that was part of like a how to set up an account thing,
Yeah.
as either a villain or an actor, would you necessarily put your real date of birth down?
Not only would I put my fake date of birth and year of birth, I would have a segment where somebody looks at it and then looks at me and shakes their head.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like I would
29.
I would lampshade that shit so hard.
Bowser Jr. Was born March 3rd, 2010. So it was 13.
2010, 89, 90. Whoa. That means that Bowser Jr. So Bowser would have been 21 if indeed there's any sort of like normal sexual reproduction coming into play here. He would have been 21 when he had a kid. That is young, but not terribly young.
It
but
might
it
not
is
be that young for, what is he, a sewer alligator originally?
He's some sort of
He's
turtle
some sort of
boss
lizard.
dragon.
Turtles are like ageless. So I don't know. It's
the
a really weird
spikes.
thing to be speculating.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that, but
I feel this is one of those things that has just opened up a bigger can of worms than than answers in terms of questions. Like, wait, what? So, anyway,
Now we know.
Maybe Bowser in the Super Mario Brothers games was a different Bowser. Maybe he's just carrying on family line.
Oh, like Cranky Kong and Donkey Kong. Like
Yeah.
Cranky
That's
Kong is
true.
the original
Yeah.
Donkey Kong.
yeah.
maybe Bowser's a family name.
Bowser 2, King of the Koopa.
Another fun Tears of the Kingdom builds people are doing, which
good.
I love this because it reminds me a lot of the things people do in like Minecraft. The people have made a cuckoo bothering machine because when cuckoos, which are the chickens,
Yeah.
when they get
Angry.
they drop eggs sometimes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
when
do.
they-
I have been trained to never bother cuckoo.
I know. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so they when they get angry they drop eggs sometimes. And so basically what I love about so people have made rigs where basically there's like a conveyor belt and things that
Oh, they're egg farming.
yeah, and so they egg farm. Now, but what I love about this though, how you have to build these things. So, you can build all this stuff in Zelda. So you build the conveyor belt with, places to put the cuckoos.
Yeah.
And then the thing to enclose it so they can't get out.
Right.
But then you have to build a shield to enclose that entire thing because of the cuckoos that are going to be coming through the air attacking you, because that's the other thing is that if you annoy cuckoos too much, then you get like meteor cuckoos flying at you.
Right.
So you have to build a shield to defend to protect yourself while this is going on.
I thought they'd attack the machine because it'd be like, oh, well, I know what I'll do is I'll attack the machine because that's what's bothering the
So-
cuckoo, and I'm blameless.
I want to point out that real life chicken farming is probably really awful for
Yes.
a lot of reasons, and I feel like Link found out how to make it worse.
Yeah. I mean, real life chicken farming, has a lot of very bad practices, but it isn't put the chickens on a conveyor belt and continually poke them.
And then give yourself a shield so the incoming army to stop you won't.
Yeah. Also, why do you need eggs that badly? Like,
On the top of a lot of trees.
I go to the top of a tree and I find eggs like reasonably often.
So I do want to blame games like Minecraft for that, where it's there are, in order to get things you typically have to
making
build some sort of farm or like a contraption,
Some sort of irritation
so
device.
So people have been doing that. Like I've seen people make lawnmowers in order to get rice.
The nice thing about
This
this
game.
isn't a. It's not like in Minecraft where you build like a creature farm or whatever,
Right.
and they just all die. Cuckoos are invulnerable. Like
Yeah.
you can't actually kill them.
Exactly.
They
yeah.
just run around and get annoyed.
Yeah.
And then drop eggs. So at least you're not like churning through the cuckoos.
Oh God.
I mean, if you were, then you'd probably just get chicken meat, right? Like, because that's
Oh yeah.
that's a thing in the game. You can.
You can get bird meat. Yeah.
So, yeah, somebody made a thing that was like, it was like a laser thing, and it was like throw a cuckoo in, get meat out the bottom.
Ah.
But it doesn't actually like
No.
you can't actually do that. So, but they just were doing it for a goof. So they had like a thing that ejected meat.
Yeah.
When they put a cuckoo in the top. Anyway,
Wow.
it is silly. And speaking of silly things, F123, which might not be how they call it, but they should.
F123.
F123.
Okay.
Yeah, but we are definitely going to call it
F123.
Mm-hmm.
Is they've been talking some more about some of the cool stuff that they're putting in, and talking about breaking point mode or whatever they call it, is this new thing. So
The drivers are having psychotic episodes. What?
so it's basically F1, was it F1 World breaking? Yeah. So okay, breaking point is the sort of story thing,
Oh. Okay.
which is very sort of melodramatic, is the idea, right?
Yes. All right. Yeah.
But then they also are talking about this new mode that they're going to have, which is called F1 World, where it's an online racing against other people, which they've had before. But the thing that they didn't have before is previously when you race, all the cars you had to you race sort of stock cars.
Oh,
Or not
okay.
stock cars, but like
Homologated cars.
yeah, the car, like all the.
Oh, wait, no, it's
you
F1.
you race cars that are all the same.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so, but obviously, a really big part of F1 racing is all the different, the teams are always customizing their cars and,
Yeah.
and trying to get an advantage over other people. with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so they wanted to kind of bring that idea into the game. And so F1 World, it has like it's basically, it's got sort of a progression system where you get upgrades to your vehicle, or you can customize it in different, you get stuff you can upgrade. But then you sort of have different, you'll gain, so as you're playing the mode, you gain resources which allow you to upgrade your car. Not just cosmetics, but actual like real upgrades. And then you have your car is like a tech level,
Okay.
basically how many upgrades and stuff you have.
Stage 2 turbo.
But then they also use that so that they can match you against people who are of the relatively similar, so you don't have,
That makes sense.
All right.
you don't have somebody with a bunch, just
Thousands of hours.
just
of
a way
play.
better car.
Yeah, exactly. That's fair. I mean, that's what the real F1 is. when it comes right down to it, sometimes.
So the idea
yeah.
is that
That's neat.
you can, so that you can tailor your car to how you want to drive, right? Some
Right.
people might want to drive in different ways and stuff. And so rather than just being everybody's the same and it's just how well you can do a particular line or whatever, you can have different customizations on your car, which I guess are, balanced in some way to make them sort of relatively fair.
I just like the idea of like you unlock the tech tree and your mechanic's like, all right, we finally figured out what an engine is. Before we were just dumping gas in the back of the little hole there, and it just made a loud sound, so we assumed you were good to go. But now we know what an engine is.
Yeah. At what point do you get the Caltrops dispenser and the smoke screen?
I know, right? I want to spy hunter this shit.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on. You know what I want is I want skirts, and I want a down-facing fan to suck the car into the bottom of the turns.
I thought you just wanted to wear a skirt while you were.
That's probably fine too. It
Riding.
gets real hot in there. 104 degrees Fahrenheit, according to the Gran Turismo
movie trailer.
trailer that we watched the other day.
I don't know that. Well, while I do agree, skirts are nice and airy, and everyone should try them out. I feel like
There's like lots of things that could get caught.
the
caught in
cockpit might get you burned with. Unless you're gonna wear some leggings with those skirts.
Yeah.
I think you gotta still get your leg entirely
Like
covered.
I don't think they've made the like fireproof racing suits in skirt form.
Probably
yet.
Not that
no,
I've seen, but
no.
if they would develop some Sentai technology, I think they could do it.
If you have if you crash and the ejector seat goes off and throws you out of the car, then the skirt could like poof out and you could float down to the ground very comfortably.
Princess Peach style.
Yeah.
That's
I would love a
another-
functional skirt like that.
That's another one of those. It's the same thing as like lifting things up by attaching helium balloons to them.
Yeah.
That it's just real world physics is just so annoying.
I know
that
we
it's
really
like-
need an overhaul on our world physics, don't we?
It's like why doesn't that work? Mm-hmm. And why can't the parachute out of the skirt is just unfortunately
The great thing
does
about
not work properly.
tying helium balloons to something though to lift it up is that when it starts working, it keeps working. It doesn't stop working at any point. It doesn't be like, oh, I'm now high enough off the ground that I'll just float here. It's like, no, it keeps working.
That's why you need a sword so you can cut it when you're done.
Yeah.
And finally, we're gonna take it back, kind of a retro story.
Okay.
Ooh.
I know. This is something. Let's talk about NFTs. Haha.
Oh Jesus. Oh, you fooled me.
Oh no.
I thought we were gonna have fun.
I thought we were out of April. What are we doing?
EA Sports and Nike are teaming up to make some cool NFTs.
What, like, their shoes are going to be NFTs now?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Like their
Great.
physical shoes?
I wear shoes.
You all wear shoes,
They're
right?
announcing a partnership with Nike's Dot Swoosh NFT platform.
No! No. No. No, you can't take a word like swoosh. No.
I mean, it's the name of their logo.
I don't care. They can't they can't have it anymore. I'm taking it away.
The sooner he reads the whole story, the sooner we're done.
So at the moment, Dot Swoosh virtual creations will unlock brand new levels of customization within the EA Sports ecosystem and provide players with unique opportunities for self-expression and creativity through sport and style. As in, your character in the game will have Nike shoes. Like, that's what... It's one of those things where it's like, that's what this is about. And you know what EA Sports has a lot of? An entire system set up for selling cosmetics.
Yes.
Yeah?
Sure does.
And you know what Nike has? A whole thing set up for selling shoes. Like, it's just like none of this had to be NFTs.
No.
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 It's like they already
literally
have a
doesn't.
database for selling cosmetics. That's a thing that exists. Why is this NFTs? But anyway, anyway,
They're virtual sneakers. They're not. You don't buy a physical. You don't get your physical drip and then you get your virtual drip on top of it. You're
No.
literally just buying only a virtual sneaker.
Oh no, because
So-
this could be so cool if it would. No, NFT thing aside, if I buy a pair of sneakers and then I get like basically a
You get the
DLC
same-
code that's like my character can have the same sneakers as me.
Yeah.
That's not an NFT. I think that would be neat.
Yeah.
I don't like any of this.
Yeah.
So I mean this article. There's an article in Ars Technica talking about this, which is sort of saying that like of the the NFT collaborations that have come out, this has a little bit more traction because it's a shoe, but this has a little bit more potential than some of the other ones in the sense that Nike has an existing the idea of paying exorbitant amounts for things with the Nike logo on it
Yes.
has already been like well established.
Yes.
So they sort of have that built-in fan base, and so this idea of and rather than having it as an in-game thing or as a strictly in-game just from the EA game store, making NFT makes it so that it's also this like item that can be bought and sold, right?
Right.
So there's there's the speculation market, which always makes things work better.
Yes, it's your foot amiibo. So which that's the thing that I don't get is I'm like, if I
Shoes could be amiibos.
they could be.
It could be.
They even like had those Nike Plus shoes with the things in the hole.
Yes.
And they already had like NFT or not NFT
NFC.
NFC things in the
Yes.
heels of the shoes.
But what's killing me here is I'm like, because it's the idea of limited of anything limited, like with an NFT, it's like it's a digital good that's limited. Is what we did. We introduced scarcity to the digital whatever. I'm like, sure, fine, let's go with this. But I'm like, they're saying that that you're buying this item and hopefully you'll be able to use it in a future Madden game or use it in EA Sports FC or use it in MLB or use it in like F1. That'll be great, right? Is when your guy's wearing his sneakers in the cockpit you can't see anyway for 95% of the game. You only get to see them when you make it onto the podium. And even then, most of the shots will be of like the chest up while they douse themselves in champagne. And the idea though of like, hopefully this will all work out. But what we need you to do first is spend a lot of money on this shit, and then maybe we'll see if it gets integrated into the game. And I'm like, if you had an existing collaboration with Nike where it's like, we're doing this everywhere, and it'll be available everywhere, and then you started the thing of like, oh, now we're going to sell limited versions of all these sneakers. Like, if you did it based on, here is my shoe, and my shoe came with a receipt, and that lets me wear my shoe in the game that I'm getting into without any of this shit about NFTs coming into play. You would have known whether this is going to work or not in the first place, and then you could do that pivot of, well, now they're going to be you can buy your normal like Jordans that are just like white and red, but now we're going to sell a purple and green version of Jordans, but it's limited edition. There's only so many of them. We're going to put them on the blockchain and do all that kind of shit, and you could do that pivot to that kind of.
I mean,
kind of service.
by already tying, if you were already tying it to a physical good, as like you're buying this physical good and it comes out with this thing, you can already make that limited without it being an NFT.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true too. It's limited time only. There's only 10,000 of these available, and they're virtual sneakers. And how do you know that you own them? Because we said you do, I guess. It's in a database somewhere. Like,
It's continues the thing of like, even when NFTs are going into an area that's like marginally interesting,
yeah.
it's always like, okay, that's kind of a cool idea, I guess. Still didn't have to be an NFT.
Nope.
Which I hope is when the stream came back. Still didn't have to be an NFT. Anyway. So that's all the news that we have.
Great.
Sorry for the issues with the stream there, everyone.
I want to point out that Paul has finished Breath of the Wild.
I have.
And thus now eventually can join the rest of us in Tears of the Kingdom.
How did you do that in under 200 hours, Paul?
He didn't care about all the collectibles.
Oh.
I mean, I didn't get all the Koroks.
Oh, I didn't either. I still
But-
haven't.
I had a lot of fun.
That's good.
I really enjoyed it, and I got all like the memories and stuff.
Ooh, did you do the DLC?
No, I have not
You
done
might
the
consider
DLC.
the DLC if you want a little more fun there too. The Champions Ballad's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess I could try that. It's one of those things where like,
You kind of did it.
I've gone like I've beaten Ganon and all this stuff
Right.
now, and so to like go back, because it's not like you get to hang out in the world post Ganon.
It's true, yeah. That's true, yeah. But you could do things like there's lots of stuff left to do, like the upgrade your Master Sword, or do the DLC, do the Champions Ballad, and find every shrine, But it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. You played the game to completion. Congratulations.
From what I've heard of how Paul likes to play games, it's like you hit story, you're done, you're good.
Yeah.
I get to and I did like a bunch of I did all of the memories and I did all the shrines and stuff. So I felt like I got extracted all the gameplay that I was interested in playing. I got annoyed with some things, and you go along, but generally very positive. So those of you who might be watching who are like me and like 5 years late on Tears or Breath of the Wild, I highly recommend checking it out. Especially, I mean, if you're into those kinds of games.
And if you have friends who have a Switch, they will probably have a copy of Breath of the Wild that they'll just lend you at this point.
Well, not everybody goes physical.
Yeah, but some people might
Just
have.
want to point that out.
Yeah, but some people might have.
I will say the fact that there's a bunch of Koroks in the castle at the end seems weird to me. One, why the hell are the Koroks hanging out in the castle?
Yeah.
And two, just from like a feeling standpoint, it's sort of like it's playing this like the scary castle music. Everything's like red and scary, and there's lava and horrible things, and then hey, you found me.
Yeah. I like the Koroks. I know there are people who don't. They don't like the way they look. They think that they're basically wearing murder masks and whatnot.
Fair.
And I can understand that, but I really like them. I think the Koroks are great.
All right, let's wrap her up.
Why the hell the Koroks are the last thing to sell?
Well, you'll have to watch the VOD, I guess.
Anyway,
The one
and
that
we're
goes
back.
up on YouTube.
So, yeah, sorry about that,
Let's say
everybody.
goodbye.
Let's say goodbye and end this very confused stream.
Sorry if you've missed anything that we said during the Twitch VOD version of this. The YouTube VOD will be up in a couple of days, and hopefully you can find anything that you may have missed there.
Jesus.
I hope the Twitch VOD is not like split into like 30 pieces.
I mean,
wonder if
our
Twitch
local,
actually-
I mean, that might be true.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out later.
Because Twitch does do that, but so youtube.com/LRRVG for this particular stream, and don't forget to check out patreon.com/loadingreadyrun.
Also, the merch that's on store.loadingreadyrun.com, and you can also see stuff that we're doing on all of our other channels, which you can get to from the LRVG channel if this is where you're currently watching it. Please go check out the other channels.
There'll be links below.
Yeah.
And
Bye.
we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.